Okay. Welcome guys to this class. Today we are going to look at testing and implementing Postman and how to its files using Postman. Superman, my hand is raised.
Yes, I wanted to tell you that your audio is not clear.
My audio is not clear.
Yes, it's not really that clear. It's not clear enough.
Okay, like is my volume down or
Yes, I think it's down.
okay, so let me see how I rectify that. Okay, so is it better now?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me clearly now, right?
Yeah, it's much more better than before.
Okay. Uh, okay. Now let's okay. All right. So today we'll talk more about testing and documenting with Postman because right till now we've been testing and what uh we've been using REST clients to test, and REST client is okay. It's cool to test, but that test is just within with you, right? Unless you are going to upload your backend code, right? With the test, with that test script, right? But also one reason why people use Postman is you might not want people to get access to your full code. You might just want them to be able to test your API without seeing the code. So one way you might want to handle that is copying the rest.txt file that has all the tests and send it to someone. And secondly, what if the person doesn't have VS Code? Or what if the person uses VS Code, but the person doesn't use REST client, right? And then the person has to go and learn how to use REST client and maybe test his documentation, right? But the simpler way to uh, enable other people test your documentation without setting up any further maybe screen or setting up anything would be to work with Postman. Okay, so Postman is used for documentation. You can use Postman to uh, document your API, write a lot of things about it, maybe even add descriptions to what your API is supposed to do. And then you can send it to someone. And then or you can send the link to the person, or you can tell the person to drop his email address and then you add the person up, and he's going to receive an email and the person will be able to access your script and do whatever he wants to do. Okay, that's one. Or you just send him the login details for your Postman and then they will be able to use that to do the testing. That's one. Then another thing we'll talk about today is working with files. Okay, so right up till now, we've just been working with text, with JSON, how you can send JSON from your from the client to the server, and the server saves it on the database. Server sends back a response. The response could be in text or it could be in JSON format. But we've not talked about working with files, right? So maybe text file, maybe a picture, right? How do you send that to a server and how does the server handle it, right? And how do you get access to what you sent and how to just manage files, right? We've not done that. And so in this class, we will see how we can work with files and also how to document our Postman. So with that said, we already know that the two topics are going to be testing and documenting with Postman and working with files. Okay, so with that said, let's go to our VS Code and let's start writing some few lines of code, shall we? Okay, so I'm trying to share my VS Code. Text is small. Let me make this bold so you guys can see. Okay, I hope you guys can see it clearly. Nobody's saying anything.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, now let me try to document what I've done so far using Postman, right? Shall we? Now, I'll need to go to Postman and then um, I'll need to open up my Postman. So you guys should just give me some time. I'll say postman.com. If you go to postman.com, I know you guys are not seeing my screen, right? But I'll share it when once or let me share it now. So I'm going to postman.com and I'm waiting for it to load up so uh I could do my testing there and then. It's still loading up, right? So we already know that we have the task route and we have the authentication route, right? And then we want to document it so that our front enders can see and learn how to use it. Okay. So in the process of doing that, now Postman has loaded up. What we need to do is we already have different workspaces, right? So what I just need to do is I need to create a workspace for myself. And there are different kinds of workspace or workspaces. Or yeah, there are different kinds of workspace. So you have the workspace for the public workspace. We have a workspace for maybe a team, and then we have personal workspace. Those are the kind of workspaces that you have access to on Postman. So I want to create a blank workspace. I'll press next and I'll be asked, what is the name of my workspace? I could call this a task app. Just call it task app workspace. It's already a workspace, so you don't need to type workspace again. The summary is just like a description, right? So you'd say workspace about task. Okay. Now, how do I want people to access it? If I want it to be personal, right? Personal would only mean that I can only access it, right? I can't invite people to my personal workspace. The private workspace is same as personal, but the only difference between private and personal is that you can invite team members to your personal workspace, right? Then you can create a team and add a team to your team's workspace, right? Then you have partner workspace. I think the only ones I can create now are personal and public. I can't do and team. I can't create private or partner. Okay. And if you hover on it, it will tell you the reason why. I'm on the free plan. So if I want to use partner or private, I have to upgrade to the premium plan where I need to pay. But I'm going to make the API, right? The documentation, I'm going to make it public. So anybody that has the link to my documentation can actually access it. Then I'll click on create. Now it's going to create that personal workspace or that public workspace. With this icon here, you see that it's public, which means anybody in the world can access this my workspace if they have the link to that workspace. Now, what I need to do is I can create a collection, right? So a collection is like a folder that contains different requests that you want to make, right? This folder contains different kind of requests. But then how do you create a request, right? Or how do you create a collection? You click on this add button to create a collection. You say you want to create a blank collection, right? Now, before creating this collection, there's something we need to do before we can even work with this with Postman, right? What you want to test has to be online, right? I'm not sure I can use one local host to do my testing, right? Unless I download the desktop version for Postman. So that would lead us to seeing how we can deploy our Postman or deploy our project online, right? How we can deploy our project online and then view it anywhere and be able to test it. So I think that's the route we should go. Then after that, we'll come back to Postman and see how we can actually create our collections. Okay. Now, how do you deploy, right? Example of how you can actually deploy. Now, let's come back to our let's come back to VS. Okay, let's not go to VS Code first. Let me go to my GitHub, github.com, and I'll create a repository. Or I think I've already created a repository for this this project, right? You guys remember? Hello, are you guys still here?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. I've already created that. So if I come back here and say, let me share my VS Code with you guys, or let me share my GitHub with you guys so you see. Okay, you guys can see it. So if I say KodeCamp 3.0, so I think this is the one, right? This is the one I created. Now, how do you deploy what you've created now online? How do you deploy it? Right? There are different ways of actually deploying this, but I'm going to use render.com to deploy it for you guys. Okay. Now, what you just need to do is go to render.com. Let's see how to deploy what we've done so far. And let me share my screen one more time to show you render.com. Now, once you get to render.com, you'll be presented with this beautiful interface, right? Sorry, render.com. Then what's if you don't see dashboard there, it means you're not logged in, right? So if you see sign up, you sign up, then after signing up, if you're not signed in, you can then click to sign in. But if I click on dashboard, it will still ask me to sign in, I guess, or it will just take me to my dashboard at once. So, but if yours don't show that dashboard, you click on your sign up, you sign up, then later you sign in. when you sign in, you'll be presented with the dashboard. So the dashboard is where everything happens, right? All the nice things. Yes, you need to push your code to GitHub first before you can do any other thing, right? Before you can deploy it, you need to push it to GitHub. Now, when you come to render.com, just click on add new, right? It will ask you, what do you want to add? Is it a static site? Is it a web service, private server, or any of these? Now, a static website is for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or if you want to deploy something like React, right? But this web service is used when you want to deploy something like Express.js or Nest.js, or you want to deploy Python backend. You click on web service, right? Yeah, Ladell is asking, will our code work without include a .env file? I'll show you how to include your .env online without without pushing your env file, right? I'll show you how to include it. Now, it will ask you, do you want to deploy an existing image from a registry that's Docker Hub, right? Or GitHub or GitLab image, right? Or you want to connect to your GitHub or GitLab, right? You want to build from GitHub repository, from a Git repository. So this is what I'll choose. Then I'll click next. Then it's going to ask me, where do I want to deploy from? So I'm going to write code can connect to a repository. What's the repository name be? Okay, I can search code. What did I call the name of the repository? KodeCamp. KodeCamp what? 3.0. 3.0. It's saying no result. Connect to a repository. All right, so since it's not seeing the repository, right here, you can just scroll down and you'll see this place to connect to a public repository. If the repository is public, you can connect to it from here, right? Since we've not seen it on this list. Okay, if we even scroll, we might even see more. Okay, what I just need to do is I need to copy that repository URL, right? I'll copy it and then I'll come here and paste it. You see https github.com/victuk/codecamp 3.0. Then click on continue. Now it's going to ask me, what do I want to name it? Right? I could just say CodeCamp task repo. They asked me the region. Don't worry about the region. Then the source. Don't worry about it again. Now this is the very important part. Very, very important part. Build command and your start command. Now let's come back to our VS Code. We'll feel that. Let's come back here. Look here. You only have your start command, right? The start command is used for development. Remember that you're using NodeMon on your development server, right? On production, you should never use NodeMon. You should never use NodeMon. NodeMon is just used to on your development server to monitor the changes that happen on your code. Now, what you have to do is you right here, you can say serve. I mostly like using serve. You say serve, and then here you say node index. You don't use NodeMon on your production server. You use Node to run your production server, right? It's only when here I could write npm start, right? npm start to start the development server, but this is the production server. So production server, what I need to run to start this server up would be npm run serve. Right? So let's go back there and see what is remaining, complete what is remaining. Now here, this build command is used to, let's say, install dependency and get your code ready, right, to start. At this point, what you're going to write here is npm install, because npm install is what's used to set up all the dependencies for your code. Then under here, right, they've already told you what is your start command. You can leave it as node index.js because our entry point is index.js, right? Now, when you finish doing that, they'll ask you your instance type. We are using the free instance type. Now, one thing about this free instance type is that if you don't send request for like, I think up to like 50 to 30 minutes, if you don't send a request to your server after deploying it, it is going to go to sleep. So going to sleep basically means it's idle, right? If you try to send a request while your server is idle, it might take some time for it to become active before it can accept your request, right? So that's just the fallbacks. And of course, they are just giving you 512 megabytes RAM and 0.1 CPU, right? For free. This is really small. You can't use this for anything production level, like maybe a scalable app that should be able to serve a lot of people at the same time, right? Okay, now remember that place we used .env, right? Now there are two things you can do. It's either you add your environment variables manually, like adding the key, adding the value, or you can just add the secret file. You can add a secret file, right? You can call it whatever I want to call it, and maybe it's content. Or what I like doing most times is I like adding this environment variable. I like adding my environment variables like this, right? Now remember that we had MongoDB URL as our environment variable, right? So I'll copy that. I'll come here. I'll say MongoDB URL, right? And then we had secrets as our environment variable. So I'll copy that and come here and paste it, right? Then here for the value, I'll copy the value of that. Now, this is where, for example, if you were using MongoDB offline, right? In your .env file offline, you know that if you had MongoDB installed in your system, you would use localhost 27017, right? But then here in production server, you point it to your Mongo Atlas, right? Now, since I want to connect to the same database, right, I used on my development, which is the Mongo Atlas one, I can just paste the value here, right? And then the secrets too will be the same thing. So I don't really want anybody to see my secret key, so I'll just take it back to VS Code. I think we should just take it to index. So let me paste it there, and then the secret key, I'll come back, I'll paste it here too. So I could just put anything for my secret key, and then let me take it back. Let me take you guys back. In fact, you guys can see it, I'll change it. So I've added the URL KodeCamp code. I've added the secret key, which is the secret key here, right? Then after adding my environment variable, right, I can then come to the bottom and click on create web service. right? Now, one good thing about using this method, right, is that each time you make a push to the main repository, right? This KodeCamp 3.0, each time you make a push to this KodeCamp 3.0, the main branch, right? It will automatically be deployed here, except you switch off automatic deploy. Now, this is good because you can have different branches. You can have a dev branch, you can have a main branch, you can have maybe a DevOps branch or something like that. So you can say all the devs, make sure you're pushing to the dev branch, right? And then when you push to the dev branch, everything works well, then the dev branch can later be merged with the main branch, right? Testers can maybe have their own branch. They can always maybe pull from the dev branch, and then after testing and everything is okay, they can push it to the DevOps branch. DevOps branch does do what they want to do. Then after that, they can push it to the maybe the main branch, something like that, right? So that's like a standard flow, or that's the flow that most maybe very big companies might use. Okay, now look what it's doing. Looks like we don't have access to your repo, but we'll try cloning it. Okay, it's trying to clone my repository. Then after that, it has installed the packages. Remember that place we put npm install. And after installing the packages, what is it saying? It's saying build successful. So it means it has finished installing the packages. The next thing it will try to do is it will try to run npm run ceph, right? What, because let me check, is that what I even wrote? Oh, I wrote node index, right? Node index will work fine too, right? It's still the same thing. npm run ceph will run node index. So let's come back to events and let's see. It's trying to deploy, right? It's running node index.js, right? And here, see what it's saying. Yay, it's saying your service is live, right? Which means it deploys successfully. It's listening on port 10,000. You see? Now, this port 10,000 is not the same port that we used, right? And it's saying connected successfully to my database. You see? So now this service is deployed live. Now we can test it from Postman, right? This is the link to, now instead of using localhost 3000, right? This is what you use, KodeCamp task repo.onrender.com. We can copy this and take it to Postman, right? We can copy this and take it to Postman. Let me share my Postman for you guys to see. I can create a new collection. I can call this the auth collection, right? So I could rename it here. I could say this is the auth collection. Then in this auth collection, I can create a request, right? So add request. I could call this request maybe the login request. Let's see. I could call this the login request. See where I'm renaming it. I could say it's the login request. And then what do I need to do? I paste that on render.com. Then I'll say /v1 is it auth /auth /login. I think that's the complete route. Auth /v1 /auth /login. Yeah, right? That's where you will put our link. Then the next thing we want to add is the body, right? The body of this request. And remember that is a post request we are sending. So if you want to change the method type, you see it here. You have get, you have post, you have others, right? So you change this to a post request. Now, to add the body, you're going to come and click here on this body. And then when you click on body, you choose X form URL encoded, which is this one. Then under here, you can add your email, you can add your password. right? Your email can be, I can't remember what email I used before. Let me check. Right. I used Ukok Junior and Victor 1234. So I'd say Ukok Junior at gmail.com. And then here I would say Victor 1234. Right? Ukokjunior at gmail.com. The password is Victor1234. Then you can send that request. Okay. It's saying user not found. Right? Okay. User not found. Okay. In render, Ladell is asking in render, what do we use as build command? Your build command is npm install, right? While your what's the other command? Your build command is npm install, while the other command is npm run save. In fact, let me change it now. Let me share my screen so you guys will see. Yeah, instead of writing, I went to settings, right? The settings that I'm saying this. Instead of, after writing npm install here, I would want to edit this. And instead of just typing node index, I would say npm run save. npm run save is a better option than writing node index, but there's no difference between, because npm run save will still run node index.js. So let's come back here. Let's come back to our let's come back to this place. It's saying user not found, right? So which means it is actually working, but it isn't seeing that this user, right? It isn't seeing that user. Oh, because I made a mistake here. I said at Gmail, like GMAI, then semicolon. So it's supposed to be at gmail.com. Now, if I send that request, we'll get oh, it's still saying user not found. It's still saying user not found. Let me see if I've missed anything. Okay, so let me confirm if that user really exists. Okay, I think it's admin@admin.com that exists. Admin@admin.com. So admin@admin.com. If I send that request, it's still saying user not found. Okay, so let's check the database to be sure, right? Let me check the database to be sure. So you just give me some few minutes to do so and then come back. So let me check that. But I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain here. Is there anybody that don't understand? Anybody here? So everybody understands? Hello, guys, talk to me. Who doesn't understand what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do.
Okay. So at this point, it was showing it's supposed to be admin 1234, the post requests. It's saying user not found, user not found. Let me try this again. It's still saying user not found. Well, let me see how I did my Postman, right? Let me see how I did my my render.com to be sure that everything is working well. Okay, let me see. I think it might be because of that content type. Okay, it's now saying bad requests. Why? Okay, this is okay, because there are two content types, I guess. Why is it still adding this content type? Okay, and it's saying there's a duplicate. Okay, I think I could change this one. So application/JSON. Okay, I can change it. Okay, let me see how I'm going to resolve this, because this user actually exists. This person actually exists, but for some reasons, our API is not actually seeing this particular user. Okay, now let's come back to VS Code. I think I know the issue. Let's come back to our VS Code. Right, there is a middleware that is missing, right? Remember that what our API is sending, right? What our API is sending is, let me go back there. What Postman is sending, right? If you check here, the content type is XWWW form URL encoded. Is not application/JSON, is application/XURL form URL encoded. Now, there is a middleware that is supposed to handle this kind of requests, which we've not included. Okay. Okay, Ladell, the reason you're getting this, right, is the reason you're getting missing script npm run save, right? The reason why you're getting that is because of this. Come here. Come to your application.json. Look at what I wrote here. I wrote self should be equals to node index. You need to have this. If you don't have this on your script, it's not going to work. Ladell, are you following?
Yes.
You have to, yeah, you need to have, if you don't have this script, if you don't have this on your script object here in your package.json, it will not work. Now let's come back here. I said that there's a particular middleware that is missing. So I'll just say app.use, then I'll write express.url encoded. Have you seen that this is the middleware that is missing? That's why the back enders up there is not understanding what we are trying to do, right? Now, inside this URL encoded, there is always an option that says extended should be false. Just add it. Then after that, right, after doing this, the next thing you're supposed to do is to push this online so that it will automatically be deployed, right? So if we write npm, we say git add, right, git commit with a message, and the message would say, let's say URL encoded middleware added. Then the next thing we are going to write is git push origin main, right? If, in fact, let me share that when we come back to our when we come back here, we should see, let me click on events again. Okay, we've made a push, right? Let me check the settings if automatic update is enabled. It's supposed to be enabled somewhere here. KodeCamp, this build and deploy the branch, KodeCamp 3.0. Let's check here again. It's supposed to automatically start deploying. All right, I don't know, for some reason it didn't deploy. So let me just manually deploy the latest commit. Right? So I'm manually deploying the latest commit. Is building, and we have to just wait for some times for it to deploy. Then when it's finished deploying, we can then test our Postman to see what is going on. So it's finished installing the packages, the build is successful. Now it's trying to deploy. Right? All right, so Superman.
Yes, I have a
You have what?
question.
Ha. Superman, you're cracking. Oh. It's like your network is playing Superman tape. I can't hear you. What are you saying? Or just drop what you want to say on the chat. Then I'll see it because you're cracking. I hope you guys can still hear me. Oh. Superman, type what you want to type your question. I can't hear you at all. Okay, so it's live now and everything is running properly. Remember what I told you guys about the port? That I told you that you have to write process.env.port or 4000. That's double pipe 4000 on your index.js, right? All right, now we are back here. Let's go to our Postman and see what is going on. Let me share my Postman again and let's see. This should work properly now. Yay, so it works properly. Hello, guys. So I can then copy this and use it as my login token, right? Now, everything that has to do with login can be under this collection, the auth collection, right? So now, the task collection, right? I can create another collection for just the collection of things to do with task, right? I could create a blank collection and I can call this collection the task collection, or let's just call it task, right? Or I'll just call it tasks, right? Then under this task, I can create a new collection. Where is the, or a new request, right? Now, under this collection, I can create folders too, right? If I want, but I don't want to do that. So I could just get all tasks. So I could just say all tasks, right? All tasks, right? Then Now, how do you add that authorization of bearer, right? You can come here and add it here. You can say authorization, right? But I don't want to add it that way. This is another way of adding it. Come to authorization, click on type of authorization, choose bearer token. Now, when you choose bearer token, it will tell you that this is where you should put the bearer token. So you can come here and press paste to paste that bearer token. Heads up, all parameters hold sensitive data. To keep this data secure while working in a collaborative environment, we recommend using variables. Right? Learn more about variables. Let's not bother about that. Right? Now, for me to get the list of tasks, right? I could just come here and say /v1/tasks, right? /tasks. So I'll say /task. And that will be a get request, right? If I send that get request, we see that it returns an empty array for us. Now, this is one funny thing about JavaScript, right? Let me also share it with you today. Let's come back to VS Code. I want to share you something. Okay, so Ladell, yes, that message is okay. That message isn't a bad message, right? It's just telling you that it's your browser, like it couldn't see your repo, but it's going to clone it, right? That's like the first time trying to deploy that, so it's normal. So where are we? We are in VS Code, right? Let me ask this question. Is an empty array equals to an empty array in JavaScript? Hello, guys. For everybody here, is this true or false? Don't try to test it. Don't try to test it. Just tell us, is it true or false? Okay, it's false. Okay. Okay. An empty array is an empty comparing an empty array with an empty array gives you false, right? But the two arrays are empty. How do you compare an empty array? Like how do you find out if an array is empty? Anybody wants to try?
Can use the length.
Okay, that's correct. So you would say if but if it's not zero, then that means it's not empty. Okay, right. So you can use that to, if you're doing the front end, right? You can then check if your array is equals to 0, right? And then if the length of your array is 0, then you can say it's empty. If it's not 0, then that is not actually empty. Okay. Then let's come back to our let's come back to our Chrome, and then let's continue.
I'm unable to test it because of say I posted how the something is the Postman. It has been like that for a long time, creating a public profile.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I said
Hello,
my
what did
Postman,
you say?
my Postman.
Uh-huh.
It has been trying to create a public profile for a long time.
Public profile.
Mm.
Okay, on Postman, right? Okay. I don't know. More, it takes time sometimes to actually create, right? It takes time. So it depends on your network. If your network is fast, then you should create it fast. If it's not going to be fast, then it's going to really take time before it creates. I don't know. Most times, Postman like might delay a bit, right? Most times it's fast. So let's continue testing. We can also add more, right? Now, remember all these things you're doing, right? If you want the, let's say you're trying to test this and then you want people to, when they come to your documentation, they can maybe see what you try to test with. For example, you can always come and click on this save button. But like, for example, look now, we have a post request here, but why is it showing get here? It's because we've not saved it. What we can do here is we can remove the email and we can remove the password. Then we save it here. Now, any other person that is going to look, that is going to try to maybe test this, we'll see that he needs to put an email and needs to put a password, right? And then when he puts an email and password and clicks send, he can test it on his own, right? The same thing with this alt tags. I can save it, right? So anybody that wants to use this alt tags can come to the authorization and change it to his own bearer token and use, right? So the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to create a task. So I could say add requests, and then the request is going to be a post request to slash, I think it's slash task. Let me check to be sure. Okay, so it's still going to be this same URL, but it's going to be a post request, right? So our tags would normally have a title. So I'll say task title, and I'll say task body, right? The task title can be task 1. Then the task body can be task, or let's just say my first task, right? And then let's test it before we save. So if we do that, it says no authorization header. Okay, that's interesting. So that means we just need to come here and copy this authorization header. And we come to this point, what do I call this? I'll just say add a task. I'll just say add a task there. Authorization, I'll come and say bearer tokens. Then, okay, the bearer token is already here. Why was it saying that it's not pasted? Let me make that request again. Right, okay, so you see, it's saying it's successful, is true, my task, and then let's come back here and make a request, a get request. Right, you see that it has saved that my first task, that's task 1, right? Beautiful. We can add a register and we can keep on documenting our this in Postman, right? Now, these tests also serve as a documentation for whoever is going to maybe try and use this API later on. So I can copy this link now and I can send it to anybody to try and test. For example, let me copy this link, the link to this Postman, and paste it on where is it going to be? Let me paste it on the call, right? Let me paste it on the chat here. You guys can have fun with it, right? I think it's possible for you all to also add tasks or delete. I think you can create another request to add a task, or sorry, to edit a task, to delete a task, to get a single task by ID, and the rest you guys can do that, okay? So this is how you can document a task, okay? Does anybody have any question on what I've done so far? Any question?
No question.
Okay. So in essence, everybody follows, right? Okay. Now, the next thing we are going to talk about is how to manage files, right? And that's managing of files is going to have part 1 and part 2. And I'll explain why. This part 1, I'm going to show you how to send files from front end to back end, right? Then the part 2 aspect is going to be how to use that uploading of files, how to make it work on a production server, right? Because each time, now this is something you need to understand. Each time you push your code to a production server, everything about that code before, right, is wiped away, which means if you pushed a certain, maybe you pushed files to your production server, right, and then you made an update to that production server, those files will be wiped away, right, and new files will be put there on that server. So that means there should be a certain place you can push your static files to, right? And then you store them there, and then you can store the link of those files on your database, so that once you push your files, anytime you push your files, it's not going to be erased. But today we are just going to look at how we can move files from, let's say from Postman, for example, right? From Postman to your back end, right? Let's see how that can be done. Okay. So let's go back to VS Code. Let me exit this and clear my screen. Now, there's this file, there's this place named public, although it's not here, it's not in this particular directory. So you can just create that public folder. I'll just call it public. Right? Now, the public folder is supposed to house anything that has to do with your public files, right? Anything that has to do with maybe your text files that you're uploading or any other thing, right? Your public file is supposed to keep them, right? Your image, your text files, if anything that has to do with file, right? Now, you need to also make express to understand that you have a static file or you have a public file that you're working with, right? Now, since we've created this public file, what we need to do now is we come to index and you will tell express about that static file using your middleware, right? So on your middleware, this is what you would say. You say app.use express.static. And then in here, this static file, right, or this static function accepts the path to where that static folder is. So the simplest way for us to join that path is for us to say, we'll say here path.join, path.join. We've not imported path here, so we'll come here and say const path should be equals to require then All right. So I say path.join, then on here uh, I'll say underscore directory name. This dir name is used to get the absolute path, right, to that particular directory. So instead of you now coming to write, maybe if you were on a Windows system, you now want to come and do C slash users slash maybe document slash before you now write public. Instead of that, you can just say path.join, then you say underscore directory name. So this is going to help you, right, with that absolute path to that document. Then you now say path name, comma, then you now write the name of that folder you want to get to. So you now say public. Okay, right? So now what you're saying, what you've told Express now is that anything that has to do with static files, maybe your pictures, your text files, any other thing, maybe videos, it has to be saved in this public file. Now, writing this also makes it easy and it makes it simple for you to access the files that are inside here, right? So now, how do you access the public files? If I want to access the public file, let's say there's a file inside here, maybe victor.png. If I want to access the file, I'll just write localhost and colon 4000 / victor.png, and that public file is going to load up. That's simple. But if you put that public file in another folder, it's not going to load up. Okay, so now what is the next step we need to do? How do we get maybe when someone sends a file to us, how do we actually get that file, right? Or how do we trap that file and use it? This is how you could do that, right? You're going to say, let me just create a new route for file, right? I'll say app.use, I'll just say /v1 / maybe upload pic. Then I'll create a new route here. I'll call that route upload pics.js, right? I already know what to do. Const express should be equals to require express. Then here you would say maybe router should be equals to require. Oh, sorry. Router should be equals to express.router, and remember you need to export, so module dot export.default exports module.exports router. Sorry about that, guys. Then I would say I could say router.post, right? I could just say it should be a /pic, right? And I could use an arrow function, request, response, right? In here, what we just what we need to do now is we need to install a library, right? Or a package. And the package name is Malta. So you just say npm install Malta. So when you run npm install Malta, then the next thing you will do, because it's someone else's package, so I would go to npm.com, npmjs.com, and search for Malta and see the examples that the person has actually done with Malta, because that's how you actually learn how to use most of these libraries. All right, so if we come here and search for Malta, you see Malta, Malta S3, Malta Cloud Storage, different Malta, but I just want to use the normal Malta, right? Which is this Malta, which is the one we installed, right? So they say this is how to install it, and then this is how to use it, right? So it's a upload.single. And this is the very basic way of uploading a file, right? There are different ways. For example, you can rename a file, or you can automatically rename a file that has been uploaded using Malta, right? But let us follow this way to describe it. So let's come back to our code. Let me share my code screen. We'll come here and we'll say const Malta should be equals to require, would require Malta. And the next thing Malta said we can do is we can say const upload. Upload should be equals to Malta, and then in this Malta we can pass a DEST, which is the destination. And this is the one of the trickiest part of this. If you wrote /public, this won't work. If you write public, it won't still work. You have to write public with a /. You see this /? I've gotten a terrible experience with this /, right? Not including this / like this. It gave me sleepless nights. So I don't want anybody here to have sleepless nights. So in order for it to be able to easily accept uploads, just use it this way, public /. Now this is the basic way, the most basic way of trying to accept a file from a user, right? Now, how do we test our uploading? Say upload. Now there are different ways to actually upload. You can upload a single file, you can upload an array of files, right? So remember when you let's take Instagram or Twitter, for example, you can mark or check a number of files to upload at the same time, right? You can upload a single file, right? You can accept a single file at a time, right? You can accept an array of files, and then you can also accept different different kind of file based on their output, based on their based on the property they come with. But let's see how we can accept upload of a single file, right? So say upload.single, and just call it like that. Okay, upload.single, but you won't add oh, sorry. Now, when you say upload.single, what is the name of, because remember that when you're sending requests, you'll send the request as maybe as JSON or as a form. Now, that form, the name of the place, the name of the field that image is actually going to be uploaded, right? Is what you're going to pass in here. So you can call it, you can rightfully call that part. So I could say the name of that field should be file, for example, right? And then at the end of the day, after uploading the file, I can decide to maybe I can decide to do anything with that file, maybe save the link to that file, right? Or I can just send that file has been saved successfully. I can do whatever I want to do with that file, right? I could say, I could create another schema and say task with file schema. So any task that contains a file, right? I could do that. I could decide to use the same schema and create a file. Okay, there are endless possibilities, but let me choose one, right? Let me choose one. Now I could say picture should be of the type of string, right? Or let me just say picture name. I'll just call it picture name and then I'll add comma there. Now, this picture name is not required. So which means any other file or any other record that doesn't have the picture name value is safe. We can even decide to add a default. We can say that the default should be maybe just an empty string, right? So any other file that doesn't have a picture name will come with this picture name, but it's going to have an empty, right? And an empty response, right? Picture name will be equals to an empty string. Okay, now what we can do here is we can still accept the task title, right? So this is what we'll do. We'll need to import that task again. So we say const task const this should be equals to require. Then we would want to require dot slash model. Okay, I call this schema slash task schema, right? Then remember here, when once you just type, press Control and press space, you see the suggestion, right? So here I could then say await task collection dot create. And yes, I could just save it. I could say new task should be equals to await task dot create. Then inside this create here, what do I need to write in there? I'll write I'll say okay. I could come here and say const task task title should be equals to request. Okay. Remember what I talked about, the structuring, if you guys can remember. I said this should be equals to req.body, right? So I say tax title, tax body, and remember that the image is going to come as a file, right? So I could say file. Okay, no. Now, how do we get access to the features of this file, right? If you want to get access to it, you say request.file and request.files files at index0.file name. Okay, since it's a single file, you can say request.file.file name or field name, file name. So this file name will be the file name that file is going to come with by default. Okay. So I could still destructure it. I could come here and say const req.body req.file. Then inside here, I could say file name, right? And here I could say task title, task body, and then picture name would now be equals to file name. Okay. Then after that, I can respond res.send. I could respond with a message. But some people like something like this: successful should be true, right? And then you can see you can just return the new task there. So you just say new task so that they can receive that new task, right? Now, I'll spin up this server, npm start, and then what is it saying? Server crash, app.use requires a middleware function. So where did I write this? At application. Okay, so where is this coming from? Okay, this one requires a middleware function. So I guess that's where it's coming from. So I'll say const task with picture should be equals to require, and then I'll say dot slash routes slash upload pics. Then at this point, I'll say task with picture. Yes, and it starts up now and it's running properly. Now, this is another tricky part, right? How do you send the task with picture, right? But let me log in again. Let me get another token. Okay, this is the one online, sorry. So I need to use the one offline. So I think I can stop this. Okay, yeah, Ladel, you get it, right? You get it. Just give me some time. Copy this. Then I come here and say post to localhost colon 4000 slash v1 slash or slash what did I call that? But then I'm going to complete it. I'll come here and say our content type should be application slash JSON. Our authorization should be bearer, and then that's long string. Then under here, I can come and okay. At this point, okay, application slash JSON. Then here we'll say task title. Task title should be task. Let me just say task with picture. The task body is going to be this is my first task with picture, right? Then what's the next field again? The next field is going to be file, right? And what I learned is that you're supposed to use an @ to denote that what you're trying to send is a file, right? So this is how you do it. You say @ then here you're going to write the path to that file. So let me go and look for a file that I would want to upload, right? Let me see. I think I should just check a file from the internet, maybe a picture from the internet. I'll just say nice picture. I'm trying to look for a picture online that I can use to make this example. So just give me a little time. Let me see. Or I can even use a file that's on my system, right? Let me see. Let me get the information about this file. Let me see if I could get the absolute part of a file so that we can then use it. So we have this. I think I should just use the one online, right? Because it's difficult for me to actually see the parts to this. So let me try to trace a file. Okay, I think I have a file already in downloads. So I'll say at users/admin/downloads, then slash the name of that picture, right? So the name of that picture, let me see, can I rename this? /download/ then. So that's the path to that particular file, right? And we're not going to send this as JSON, right? We are going to send it as a different format. So you say /form/multipath/form data. Now, this form data, the form data content type allows you to send things like file, right? File, and the file could contain an image. It can contain a file, basically, anything that's a file, right? Anything that's not a text. Okay, so then let's see, what is the full URL to this? What's the full? I didn't even add the middleware to save this bearer token, so I think I should add that, right? So in this upload pics, I should add that middleware here, right? Remember that we have a middleware here to check if anybody is logged in, right? So I can copy that. In fact, I could copy these 2 lines of code, copy it, then come back to this place and paste that. Right? And we are not using admin only now, just check if the user is logging. We don't have route here. Instead, what we have is router. Okay. Then what's the link to this? Let me see. It's slash v1 slash upload peak slash v1 slash upload peak slash pic, right? Then let's see, tags with picture is a push request file. All right, so let's see the magic. If we click send request, what does it show? Okay, we need to add an error, a multi-path boundary, right? This multi-path boundary is something else. I would now say multi-path boundary. I'm supposed to include it here. I'll say boundary equals to I'll just say boundary here. I'll just use that boundary, right? At every of your requests, right? Just include this boundary. You can you can give it whatever value you want to give it, right? But just include it. It's important. And I think here you put a semicolon there for the content type. Okay, so let's try this again. Oh, let me try to restart it. What is it saying? Unexpected error end of form. Okay. Let me try this again. Okay, it says cannot the structure property of file name as undefined. Undefined. Okay, so which means that semicolon applied. Let me try this one more time. It's supposed to work. Error unexpected end of form, right? So why this unexpected end of form? Multi-path form data boundary. I'm still trying to understand why it's giving that error. I can't find any. I don't know the reason. I can't find the reason why this is not giving this error. Why this is giving that error. But then it's supposed to work. Unexpected end of form. Okay, but then if we push this to the production server, it is going to work out perfectly well, right? Let's see. I think the issue should be from test.rest, right? The issue should be from here. Even if I change this, let me see changing this to application/JSON, application/JSON. I'm not sure it's going to work out as expected. Yeah, it doesn't work out as expected. So it's supposed to be the multi-part form data. Okay, but let's see how this is going to work out. Let me push this to production, and then from there we'll test it. So git add git commit -n picture added. Then I'll say git push origin name so that I can deploy that, and I can take this link down to Postman and see how I could test it from there. All right, so let me go to Postman. Let me get to Postman. So I'm here at Postman. I'm seeing I could create a new. In fact, what I like doing is duplicating instead, right? So I could just duplicate that. I could say add a task with picture, add a task with picture, right? Then here, when I'm sending the body, I won't send the body as XURL form encoded. I'm going to send that as a form data, right? Are you guys still seeing? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we are still here.
Okay. So at this point, I'll choose form data and I'll say file should be equals to, at this point, I'll say file should be equals to the file, not a text. Then I could select any file I want. Maybe I'll select on Splash. Then here I'll say task title, and then here I'll say task body. So here on task title, I'll just say task with picture. Then here I'll just say this is a task with picture. Okay, so let's come back here and see. Okay, let me see if what I just pushed has been deployed. Okay, I didn't push it actually. I didn't push what I just did. So let's come back to VS Code. Right, I think, what was the last thing? Okay. Git status. Okay, I'm working on a clean tree, so I just need to go back there.
All right, this our API test is starting from user. Why is it not starting from C instead? Since C is
From
the root. C.
okay, okay. That's because I'm using what did I call it? Uh I'm using a Mac system or a Linux based system, right? So that's why it is like that.
Okay.
Yeah, if I was using Windows, then I'll use /c/d/that. Okay, so I think I've pushed that. So let me come back to Postman. All right, let me share my screen again. Task, add task picture. Let's check here. What did I even push? What did I push it? Okay, I think the last one didn't actually deploy. So I need to manually come and deploy it. I'll have to come and deploy latest. I don't know, for some reason it doesn't like, for some reason sometimes it doesn't deploy the latest commit. So I don't really know why that is. But let's just wait till it finish deploying this particular one that I just pushed. While it's deploying, let me just come here and let me finish up with this, right? We have these tags. Okay, we have this tags with the tags title, tags body. Wait, did I say tags with picture? Tags with picture is supposed to be this form data, not that. This is another way of trying to cut things at the same time, a lot of things at the same time and paste. Then I can click on key value. Then here I could say that the file should be a picture, right? So here I could say file should be file. Then I could say select files. It asks me for the file. I choose, maybe I choose that file. Then let's come back here and see if it has not finished deploying. Okay, it has finished deploying, but okay, it hasn't actually. It's trying to clone. Then after cloning, it's running npm install now. Then after that, it's going to run the rest.
Since my Postman did not finish, it has been trying to create a public profile since.
Okay, try and refresh. Press Ctrl R on the screen.
Ctrl R.
Yep. Press like on your Postman, right? Just press Ctrl and R to refresh. Maybe it has finished creating it, but probably network timed out or something. So I'm just waiting for this to finish deploying. Then
Now
you
refresh.
can then.
It's not refreshing.
Okay, try and go to postman.com. Just go to postman.com again.
I'm there.
And then try to create the workspace again. Like try to log in, then create a workspace. If you're already logged in, just create workspace. So I'm just waiting for this to finish deploying. Then from there, we'll know what to do. It's actually taking a lot of time. Let me come and click on this events again. And let me click here. Let me see. Okay, it has actually finished deploying, but for some reasons it didn't tell us that it's finished deploying. Now, this logs is where you can actually come to see what's happening on your server, what's happening, what's going on, if things are actually moving well or not. Okay, so you see that everything is going on well. Let's come back to Postman and make that request. Then I come back here, tax title, tax body, file, and I click on send request. Let's see what is going to happen. Oh, it's saying internal server error, right? Let's come back and see what is the internal server error here. It's saying tax title is required, tax body is required. Okay, I think I understand why this is happening, right? I think I understand why this is happening. We didn't add, I think there's a middleware to handle static files, right? It should be a middleware to actually handle static files, but we didn't include it. So let's go back and check. Let me go back and check. We have express.json. We have express.url includer. We have the static, right? Nothing is actually missing, but for some reason this isn't working out. In saying tax validation failed, the tax title is missing. Don't we have a tax title? We have a tax title, we have a tax body. Okay. We are sending it to the wrong route. So this is supposed to be slash what? Slash load pick. Let me come here, slash load pick, then slash pick. And that's the right URL. Then I'll send that request. Let's see. Then it has actually uploaded, right? It has actually uploaded the tax title, the tax body, and the picture name, right? That's actually the file name by Monta. I think Monta probably renamed it for us, right? So this is working online, right? I don't know why it didn't work offline for us, but it's working online. Let's see. If we come back here, right? It doesn't, apart from this first error that it showed, where is it? Apart from that first error it showed, it doesn't show any other error, right? So, and we received the appropriate response that this is working well. So it created, wait, did I send tax one? Okay, tax one and my first tax. Yeah, it sent that and then with the picture name. So let me try to get all tasks. Let's see if it's going to include it. It doesn't. Okay, it says picture name is empty. The picture name is empty. Okay, so that's an issue I'm seeing. So it actually, I think it actually saved the tax, but it didn't save it with the picture name. So we, as developers, you always encounter bugs. So let's see how we can actually solve that bug or resolve it. Let's come back here. Let's check what we didn't do well. Let's come to the uploads, right? Come here. You check, you see upload single file, right? Now, let me see. This is coming in as file. So here I said file name should be request.files at 0 because it might come in as an array. I'm not sure. And then I could do something like this, console.log. I'd want to console.log file.file, sorry, request.file, and maybe console.log request.files at 0, right? I think this is what we are supposed to work with, files at the position of 0. So let me do that. Let me add again. Let me commit and push. Right, and then let's see. Let me share the screen for that. Okay, so let's see again. If we didn't upload automatically, we just deploy that latest commit. Let's see. So hopefully this should deploy and everything should work well. While that is going on, let me try to do things. Let me try to test this. KodeCamp starts.
Bye.
Yeah. Hello, someone was asking a question.
Sorry, my mouse and my mic was on. Sorry.
Okay, okay. So I'm just waiting for this to finish deploying. So it's still building actually.
Hello. The postman
Yeah.
is online, Abby.
Yes, the Postman is online.
I can't find where to put the URL.
Where? I don't get.
The place to
On
put the URL for the test.
see it here.
I'm not seeing that.
No, you have to create a workspace. You see create a workspace. Then you
I think I did that.
Then what you need to do is you need to click on this add new collection here.
I did that too.
Okay, then the next thing you're going to do after adding a collection is you're going to click on these 3 dots and then you click on add requests.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this has been deployed and let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Let me send that request. So while this is taking a lot of time, this is taking a lot of time. So it could not send requests, taking longer than 30 seconds. So let me try again. I don't know why that's one failed. So while that is going on, let's check. It's saying cannot read property of 0. Wow. So let me come back here. Let me come back to npmjs.com. Let's go to Malta. Let's check their documentation again. Malta, right? They said when we are uploading a single file, right? That request of file is the avatar file, which is this avatar file, right? So anytime we use request.file, we can get that avatar, we can get properties of that avatar. This one is you're uploading an array, right? So let's see an example of what they did. We will say console.log request.file, and this contains everything about that file. But this is going to contain the field name, the original name, the file name, okay, request.file, okay. All right, I think I've seen it. I think I'm supposed to use original name, not file name. Okay, the name of the file with the destination. So I'll just use original name, right? This is the name of the file on the user's computer. Beautiful. I'm supposed to use original name. So let's go back to VS Code. Okay. So at this point, I won't say request.files. I'll just say request.file.original name, right? And here I'll just say I want instead of file name, I want to get the original name instead, right? And I need to push again. Okay, so let's come back here. And for the last time, let's hope that this is actually going to work. Okay. So trying to manage files is not, it's more to do. But let's just see. There's actually a simpler way of doing this managing of files, right? Instead of me using this long route, we would have just used maybe Cloudinary to manage it. But then I don't want to use that part. I want us to know how to actually do it manually first before we then start managing it with all those tools. Okay. So build successfully is deploying, and then after deploying, we are going to try it again. Okay, so it's running npm run set, it's starting our server. Let's come back here. Let me check something. Authorization, content type, content name, posts, and all this. Come back here, we still have our picture. If we come back here, by now it's live. So let's test that one more time. I'm just waiting for this to finish. Why? I don't know why it's taking too much of time. Ah, is it the? Let me choose another image. I don't know if that image is too large. Probably maybe it's too large. I don't know. Let me choose a lighter image. Let me choose a lighter image and let me send that request and see what his response is going to be. So let me check the logs to see what is going on. So what is it saying? It's saying okay, let's see. It's showing the file, it's showing the original name and every other thing. But for some reason, it's not saving it. Ah, wow. We'll solve this problem today. Okay. So for some reason, it's showing all this, but it's not actually saving what we want. We say the picture should be this. Okay, I didn't change this to file original name. Sorry. I think that's the reason why it's actually throwing errors. The picture name should be equals to this original name, which I didn't come and change here. Then I'll wrap this in a try and catch so that if there's any error, it is going to actually throw it. So I'll just say if there's any error, rest.status should be 500 and then .json, the message should be internal server error. Okay, so tax title, tax body from here, and then the file should come here. Okay. Fine, let me push this. And then let's go back and deploy it manually since it doesn't want to deploy on its own. Manual deploy the test commits. Let's see. And it has started deploying again. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go over all I've done, right? I'm going to go over everything I've done, why it wasn't working before. When once it works, I'm going to explain what happened, right? So then everybody is going to follow. Just waiting for this to be deployed. Now it's running npm set, it's running node index, and then once that's done, yeah, it's live and it's listening on the port. Okay, so let's come and try it now to see. Okay, finally. So it now deploys, right? Finding log icon.svg and so if I want to get that icon, right? I could just come, remember that this is our base URL, right? I could just come and copy that icon, right? And then I can create a new document here. Then I could say / finding love.svg. I'll say / that pictures link. It's saying cannot get love icon finding love. I think it's /static. If it can't find this finding love icon, then it means that it didn't. Yeah.
I think it's /pic or something like that.
No, not /public. You don't need to add the /public here. You don't need to say /public. It's not going to show.
I think the directory where the code is saved and the directory and the URL we are like checking it, they are different. I think the image, the absolute part of the image is where the code is saved. So I don't think the URL is where the code is where the image is. It is the same directory as that's where the code is saved. Assuming we have access to the shell, then that would have been better.
Yeah, so what you're trying to say is that that image is being saved on our local, like on my system, right?
Not on your system, but then in the file, like file manager of the
Render.com.
yes, exactly.
Yes, it's being saved there. And once it's saved there, we can actually access it. Remember that on our index.js, we said that public should be like anything we save in our public, we are saving it as a static, maybe file, right? So anything we save there can be accessed. That's why we put that app.use express.static path.join, that long stuff. That's why I put it there so that we can access it. So it's either the image is like maybe Malta is getting the pictures of that image, but it's not saving the image itself, right? So let me try it one more time and let me see. Let me come back to get task and see if it is going to show me the link to this image. All right, so it's still the same thing. It's not saving, it's telling me that it has created that image, but it's not showing that it has actually saved it. It's not, okay. Wait. Let me check. What is the authorization I'm using to get that particular image? Let me see. Get all tasks. It's supposed to get all, right? Let me come here and change that authorization. I don't know if that might be the issue. Then let me click send to see. It's still sending just this one, right? If I try to post something different, let's say I try to post tags with image, and I set my first tags with image, right? And I send that. It has saved it as my first tags with image, right? But if I come here and try to fetch, it's only showing tags 1. It's not showing plus that my tags, this one that is claiming that it has saved. So which means there's a problem with this code. It's not actually saving the image, right? But it's showing that it has saved it here. It's sending it back to me, but it's not actually saving it. So that means we have a problem with our VS code, what we've written on our VS code, right? So let's still go back to our VS code and check what we wrote. Here we said new task should be task.create, task collection.create, and then we say this task collection will contain a task title, a task body, a picture name, and I think those are the 3 things it's going to contain, right? And then we are going to send back that new task that has been saved. But for some funny reasons, it's not actually saving that new task. Even when it shows that it has saved the new task, it's not showing it when we try to fetch, right? It's not even showing the task at all when we try to fetch. But what I've written here is totally, it's correct. There is no, I've not omitted anything. The original name is here, the task body, the task title. If you check your task schema, you have task title, task body, and picture name. Don't worry about, okay, I think it's because of that user actually, right? So remember here at this tax, when we're trying to create a tax, we said that the user ID, the user should be equals to his user ID, which is this request.decoded. So that's what I left out. So at this point, I'll come back and say the user ID should be equals to that, right? Then I could come here and say user should be user ID. Ah, okay. So, but I guess if I still try it here, I'm not sure it's going to work out. But then let me push it to production server, right? I don't know why this particular one like doesn't work here. So I'll just say git, let me just use the same thing. Git add, git commit, git push to the main branch. Then we come back here.
Hey, sorry, where do we use the user ID from the decoded?
Huh?
Where do we use
You
the
say?
user ID? User ID from the decoded.
Yeah, the user ID. Okay, let me take it back. Remember that at this point, for every tax you create, you want to associate that tax with a certain user, right? You want to say that the tax has a tax. Remember, on our tax schema, we said the tax should have a tax title, it has a tax body, it should have a picture name, but that picture name is optional, right? But then we said it should have a user, right? And then that user should be this it should be a type of object ID, and then the reference should be users. These users here, this reference points to this actually, right? So I'm feeling that that is actually the issue, although this user is not actually required. You see, okay, I think I understand this user, right? Since we did not add it, remember that anytime that we want to make a request, a GET request, we are making a GET request to get the tax that is meant for only us. But remember that at this point, we did not put the user ID when we're trying to save it. We did not enable the backend to save the user ID. So when we are trying to get tax at the tax back, it will only show the tax that is meant for us. It won't show any other tax that either doesn't have an ID or the ID is not our ID. So that's why it wasn't showing up, but it was actually saving. So I guess that was like, should I say an oversight by me? Okay, so let's come back here. Let me deploy it. I don't know if it actually deployed. So let's see, it's still deployed, still deploying, still deploying. Okay, so build is successful. The next thing is to run npm run serve, and then from there, see what is going on. So it's running npm run serve, and then the next thing it will be live. Yep, so it's live. We can test this again. So we can come back here and click on send requests, and it actually saves it now. It also adds the user, which is me. that's saving it. And then we come back here and try to get all our tasks. We should see it. Yeah, we now see it. Task with image. Finding log icon dot svg. For some reason, this is supposed to show that finding log icon dot svg. I don't know why it isn't showing it. It isn't actually showing it. So, but like it or not, right? That file has been uploaded, right? It has been uploaded. It's just that we can't actually get it like this, right? Even if we add the public slash that slash public slash finding log icon dot svg, it's not actually going to work. Or we use static. I don't think static won't also work. We are supposed to just be able to access that file by saying,
What is Android?
you say? Hello, what did you say?
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
but
Please, I'm ready to talk. My
okay,
my render is running, but I'm not able to register it. Giving me 404. No found.
check the method and the URL. Did you add slash v1 slash auth slash register on the URL?
I think it's using get. I've changed it to post. Let me see if it is.
Yeah, it will work if you change it to post. Okay, so let me come back here and check the logs. There's something I'm actually looking for. If it actually showed up here. So let me see this file name, this file name, this file name. Let me copy that file name and use it here. Let me
Could not
see if
send
it is very.
request. It's saying could not send request.
It's saying could not send request.
Let me see. There is an error in render.
There's an error on render.
Undo promise rejection.
Okay. For your register, right?
Yes.
Did you add the content type of application slash JSON?
Yeah. Okay.
On the head?
No. I didn't.
Okay. Just add it.
Under authorization. Okay, that's.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out why this is not working out. So I'm still looking at the destination where this is going to. Destination is slash public, which is public. Mortar. Okay, you know what? Let me move this. Let me share my screen. Right? Let me move all this to. Let me move it to the root, or let me just copy it to the root. Let me just copy that to index, right? I'll just say app dot, then I'll paste that. So it's app dot posts to that URL. Then all I'll just need to do is copy mortar, copy tax collection. In fact, basically copy all this. Right? Copy all that, come here, paste it. If there is any one that is, I think I just need to change this to ./schema. Okay.
A question, sir.
Yeah.
Can you please
Dot.
scroll down?
Is it?
Can you scroll down a little?
Okay. Then
Yes,
before this part,
yes, sir. That's the slash peak. Will it not affect what you're trying to do the other time? This slash peak.
slash pick. No, it won't. Remember,
Oh,
see, I've actually commented it. I've commented that route, so it's like it doesn't exist now. So it's locked in. Is user locked in? Then let me push this code and see. Add commit push to origin name. So now I just need to send the file to slash pick and see what is going to happen. So I don't even need this one again. I just need parts. I need mortar, the destination, and whatever I've written in. All right, so let's go back again. Let's come here and test. So it's building, 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 building. It's trying to save and then with string test. And let's come back here. Let me try to add that same picture. Or let me change this from an SVG. Let me try it with the other picture that I chose before. So I click send. Okay, it shows that I can't make that request. So I could just say slash pick because that's what I did there. So if I made that request, it shows the picture name, but I'm supposed to get that picture that way by coming to do this. It's saying no authorization header. Okay. Hmm. So guys, for some funny reasons, I don't know the picture. I can't actually get the picture, right? And I'd actually find out why that is happening. Because normally I'm supposed to get the picture from here. So let me see. There's nothing printed here. Nothing, no error. Everything is just fine. Okay, so guys, like it or not, right? This picture that we've actually uploaded, right? That picture is somewhere on the server, just that I can't access it and I can't actually find out the reason why I can't. But then why we can actually, how we know that that picture is uploaded is because the picture name is here, right? I have access to the picture name, right? And if I didn't have if the picture wasn't uploaded properly, right, I wouldn't have the access to knowing this picture name, right? It would have just maybe thrown an error or it would have told me that the upload was maybe unsuccessful, or it would have just thrown an error. But the fact that I could get this picture name means that that picture actually uploaded, right? If we want to even test it, we can just on our VS Code, right? On our VS Code here, we can just console.log. We can console.log req.file and push. Right? If you check this, if you check your request file, you're going to see everything that has to do with it, right? The name, the link, everything, right? And it's going to show up. We can't access that. Gosh, man. The reason we are supposed to access this just writing on Splash, right? That way, we're supposed to access it. Even if we try public slash. So now what people do is they save their image somewhere else, right? They can save it on a different server and then they save the link to that image on their database. So that anytime they want to access that image, they can just use that name to access it instead of trying to access it directly from their server, right? So we are going to see how we can actually work with using maybe something like Cloudinary or maybe any other service that is actually available, right? To work with files, because trying to work with it like this too, you guys are already seen that it's not actually easy to work with files this way. But then working with files, right, using services is more simpler, right? But we are going to see how it's going to work, like using this way. And then later on, in our next class, we'll see how we can then use something like Cloudinary, for example, or any other hosting or any other file management service. We'll see how we can use it to work with it. So let's come back here and I'm going to try this for the last time to see how I can deploy and view my pictures. So let's see, it's deploying in progress. Deploying is in progress. Once that's done. Okay, Ladell, render is saying unhandled promise for my register route. Why is it an unhandled promise? Okay, why it's saying an unhandled promise is because an error must have occurred while trying to maybe make that request to your server. So check the way you're sending that request. If you don't send it properly, then your server is going to throw that unhandled request. Okay, so let me try this. Send that one more time. We get this. Now, let's come back to the logs for our server. Let's see what actually happened. It's supposed to print some, yeah, these are the details of that picture, right? The picture's original name, which is the one that was saved, the encoding, the image type, which is the PNG, and then the file name, right? This is actually that file name. You're not supposed to send it as raw JSON, right? Use include that middleware, Ladle, include that middleware for URL encoded requests. Include that middleware so that you can handle URL encoded requests, right? Don't try to send it out.
I don't understand. Hello?
Okay, yeah, I can hear
I
you.
say I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, I'll show you guys I'll show you what I'm trying to explain to Ladle. So if I paste that, I want to try to get that image. Oh, now it is asking me to download the image. Wow. Why is it asking me to download the image? Let me download the image and see what it's actually going to show. Okay, funny thing, it is actually the image, right? But it's not showing it on my browser. It's telling me to download it, right? Using the file name, it's telling me to download the image. So, okay, I think I am getting to it. Everything is working well now, right? Now, hello guys, see, you see this file name? Hello guys, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Okay, this original file name is the original file name, but this is not the file name that file is going to be saved as on your server. This is the file name it is going to be saved as. It's going to use this file name, which this file name doesn't actually have an extension. So if you want to view that file, you would use this file name, right? You're going to use this file name. So if we copy that file name and we come to a new tab and we now say kodecamp.orenda.com/ that file name, which is this long text. When we press enter, it is supposed to show that file here, but instead it is telling us to download it, which is what maybe I won't want to download it, right? I would want to show it. If I did this on maybe a Windows system or a Linux system, it's supposed to show me that file. Okay, so that means what we're supposed to do, right? Let me go back to VS Code. What we did that first time was actually correct, right? What we did here is we said we're supposed to use file name here, not original name, file name, right? Because we have request.file.file name, right? So we're supposed to use file name here, file name, and then here we'll say want to save that file name. So if you guys can try it too, right? Just commit and push, and then go and deploy, and then use the file name that you receive from your deploy, right? Use that file name to actually get access to the file that you want to work with. Do you guys understand what I mean? Hello? Hello? Who is not following? Who is not following what I'm trying to do? What I mean is, the file name is what you're going to use. You're not going to use original name. Original name is just showing the original name, but that's not the name that the file is going to be saved on the server. Do you understand? Hello, do you guys understand what I mean? Eh?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to explain it, don't worry. So let's switch.
How to make the request.
You see?
You should have to make the request. So
Yeah, I'll show you how, yeah. So this is how to make the request. Use form data, because if you try to use form URL encoded, you won't be able to add a file, right? So here, I've added text title as a text, I've added text body as text, but coming here, if you want to change, for example, if I want the text body to be a file, I'll come here and click this drop down and I'll choose file, but I want it to be text, that's why I'm leaving it there. But this file here now is not a text, it is a file because I chose file here. So when you choose file, it will ask you what kind of file you want to send. So you can then choose the kind of file you want to send here. Okay, so let's come back here. Let me see, deploy successfully. Then we can then come back here and let's make that request again with this same image, right? So if we click send, what you are going to see down here for the picture name, what you see, the picture name now is a long random I think this is either exact, no, I think this is the hexadecimal, right? So if we copy that picture name, then we come here and paste it, right? Remember that it's still the link to our deployed backend. We now say slash, then we now paste that file name, right? Not the original name or the file name. It's going to, now it's asking me to download that particular file. It's not actually showing me the file. It's telling me, should I download it, right? It's not showing me the file. So if I click save, it is actually going to download the file, right? Take note of this name, right? What's the name? The name ends with E7, right? B02, right? 7B02. If I click on save, right? And we come here and we click on it. I know you guys can't see my screen though, but let me share it to you. Let me share that particular screen where the image is showing to you. So that's the image actually, right? Let me expand it so that you see the name. If you check here, you see that the name is 7D02, which is the name of that image. If we go back to Postman, you see this 7D02, this is the image. If we come back to Postman, right? Where is that Postman? I'm looking for Postman. I can't find it. I can't find it. Okay, I've seen it. So let me share it again to you. You see? This is it, 7D02. That's the name there. So the file has actually been uploaded on the server. Trying to access this link, right? Trying to access it. Or if let me see if Postman will actually show that link here, right? If I want to get a picture, only a picture, let me add a request. Let me click on add request. I'll just paste the link, the picture name there. Then I can come back here and copy this full URL. Just say Control C. Then come back here, and before that picture, I'll just paste it and press send. So let's see. It doesn't send it back as it sends it back as text, right? I don't know if I can visualize it or I can preview if it's going to send it as an image. It's not sending it back as an image. So Postman is expecting a response as a text, right? But it's receiving an image. But then it's trying to show the image as a text, which that's the reason why it is showing all this, right? So that means Postman can't actually be, you can use Postman to, let me see if auto is going to work. Let me change this to auto. Visualize. Let's see. Oh, it's still not working though. But mind you, just know that this is actually the main image. Okay. Right. So does anybody have any question? Right? Any question? Hello? Hello guys. Who has any question?
Data, our form data, do we put comma behind it? And do we put them in code like this?
Where this form data?
Yes.
This one.
Yes.
And once you choose form data, don't use this bulk edit. Allow it to be like this. Don't put comma, just write tax title, then come over here and write the tax title, then write tax body, then come over here and write the tax body. Then the place for file, right? Just write file here. Then after writing file, like here, this place is going to show text. You just click on it and change the type from text to file.
I'm still trying to register and I'm getting error. This time it's telling me chasing what did they even say? Let me
Oh.
see.
Okay. Okay, we are going to hop on a call after the class and then you share your screen. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, but apart from that, do you guys follow what I've done? How to actually upload an image, right? This is not the default way of uploading an image, right? This is not the default way of uploading an image. A better way to upload an image would be to send that image to a service, right? Then the service can send you back the link to that image, and then you can then save that link and use it to do whatever you want to do. You can save it on your database so that anytime you want to access that image, you can then use that image. But here, what we are trying to do is we are saving the image in the public file, then we are trying to access it, which is fine. But if now we are able to access this image, right? If I make another deploy, right, this image is going to be erased. So I won't be able to access it again. Okay. So that's the disadvantage of saving the image directly on your back end or your API, right? So, but that's how to do it. But then in the next class, I'll show you how to use it with a service, right? So that you can save your image online and it remains there permanently. And then even if you deploy again, that image won't get missing. All right, so if you guys don't have a question for this class, then no problem. I hope there's no question, right? No question. In the absence of question, we would see how to actually do the more advanced part of handling this file, but that will be in the next class. Okay, and till then, so see you in the next class.